Hello, everybody. My name is Jamin Brown, and thank you for being here, for one. Two, you probably know me from Sunland News, or you've seen my face on the internet reporting something locally, probably some food or event thing, because I love talking about that type of stuff. But this is slightly different. It's been on my mind to, one, do something a little bit more longer form, but two, dive deeper into what's happening locally, especially week to week, because even I, as somebody whose job it is to cover what's going on, I even sort of like lose the time to double click into things and really like break down things and, potentially, learn more. So this is what this is. I'm not even sure what we're calling it yet. And when I say we, it's because I'm sitting across with somebody very special that, one, super talented, amazing, but also knows her stuff. Okay. So if you're going to come correct, because we got facts, so we got different things happening.
I do love a good receipt.
Oh yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Which is teasing.
Yeah.
You love a good receipt. Teasing our story coming a little later. Across from me is Robin. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. So for those who don't know me, I'm Robin Cartwright. I run a Facebook page called Save Martin County.
Yes.
But I also run a paper that is not quite as robust as yours called Martin County Press.
I was just about to say, I wouldn't even frame it as just a Facebook page, or, I think everything you're doing is pretty robust, which I'm hoping people will see as we continue to do this. But first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited about this. I'm excited that I feel like already I'm like, yeah, we work well together because we're both like very anal. We're like, I don't know, it's not right. It's like, you want to redo it? I'm like, yeah, let's redo it.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited just to just do this. I don't know. I think long term, it's just going to be so amazing. This kind of like gets us right into our first topic, because our first thing is literally just why we are doing this.
Right.
I'll start us off and I'll hit our shot clock here. The reason why I was looking at the year coming up, it was 2026 for when I was looking back at this. I was like, okay, we're going into like election cycle and everything. I was like, man, I want more out of local. Like, I want more out of news and everything that's happening. And I had to sort of take my own medicine and just say like, hey, I think you kind of have to do this. Similar to how I started Sunland News. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I think we're going to have to sort of do something a little bit longer form, more robust, double click on some things. That's what sort of sparked this thought for me. What was it for you?
I think for me, it was what you do with your video formatting is so, I'm jealous of it. Like, I'm jealous of how punchy it is and how good it is and how much information you distill in such a quick time frame. I love to investigate things and write them, and I get analysis paralysis. It will take me weeks to publish something, but when I do, I feel like it's meaningful. But to your point about 2026, those kinds of things, we can't wait for an election to happen by the time we share information. And so for me, it's another way to help educate and inform people about what's coming up with our elections, but also who's running for office, who's donating to them, who's invested in their success. Like, there's a lot that we can discuss that I think is really important. And I think a format like this will hopefully educate people, not strictly about politics, but just about your quality of life in general. I mean, there's a lot that's happening that affects everybody, and conversations that we've had constantly crosses county lines.
Yeah,
it's not exclusive
absolutely.
to St. Lucie or Martin County.
Absolutely. One of the first things you told me, which was so much of what we're talking about is connected, whether you realize it or not. That's one. And then two, just to piggyback off of what you said earlier, like, you may take weeks to write a story. I get jealous that I cannot do that. So I do think us coming together, it's like going to be the best of both worlds. We can sort of meet people where they're at in a format that, kind of suits them. But every now and then, whether it's every month or every couple of months, we do want to sort of bring in like longer form pieces, double click on them, potentially bring in people to kind of help us along, talk us through some things that we may not understand completely. So I think there's that as well. And also too, just like you said, just past the election, there is so much I feel like that goes under discussed.
Right.
Like, gets brought up, that's it. We kind of keep moving on.
Right.
And there isn't really, I haven't seen, especially in sort of the video format, there isn't a space for us to like, continue on about something and connect the dots. Because we may say like, oh, this thing happened, but do you remember that thing that happened a couple months ago? Like, this is where it all kind of meets. I'll let you have the last word on this. But, yeah.
Oh, no, I think you're absolutely right. And I think especially around the elections, there are things that happen that I think are important for people to know. There's a lot of things that happen at the state level, that happen at our federal level, and a lot of things that are important. And I'm excited also about the interviews that you're doing with all of the candidates. Hopefully they all respond. It's an open invite to anybody who wants to do it. But I think it's really important for people to hear from people. So to your point, where are they at as candidates versus where are we at as their constituents, and are they the best person for us? And just how do they approach things? This is such an opportunity for people to have a discussion and really make the best decision, not just for you personally, but for your community. Like, we all have to live here. So I think this is a really good turning point for a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of community, the Fort Pierce community this week has been in, I would call it shock, a little bit of disarray. There's been some emergency happening over at the South Beach.
I've read about it,
in Fort Pierce. You've read about it. You brought some numbers to sort of do some comparative analysis of just like what it takes to actually like continuing the filling of these beaches with the sand and like with the dune and everything. Can you say more about that?
Again, because nothing is siloed in any specific county, or very few things are siloed in any specific county. In St. Lucie, it's the whole problem with the seawall. There's a sand replenishment that's happening, trying to help salvage what's there until a better solution can be found. But in the meantime, in Martin County, at Bathtub Beach, it feels like every year we are putting literally more and more sand because of something that Mother Nature just has no interest in preserving.
It's inevitable.
It is inevitable, and it's millions of dollars. It's not even like it's a one and done.
Yeah.
So in Martin County, since 2008 at least, there has been constant replenishment of the sand and renourishment of the beach. And at what point is enough enough? And that money comes from, local homeowner associations. It comes from tax dollars. It comes from FEMA. There's grants. Like, it's a number of things that contribute to it. But at the end of the day, it is still money that's being used to recreate a beach that keeps having to be recreated. And I feel like that's what's happening in Fort Pierce in some weird way.
Yeah, well, the mayor this week, she declared a state of emergency to open up some funds, get some equipment in, because I think for the next we have to wait 5 weeks until the renourishment project begins here, which I think the cost is somewhere in the range of like $15 million or something.
Crazy.
And it's supposed to be 400,000 cubic yards of sand over the course of a mile.
Right.
To replenish the sand there, because
water moves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's not naturally, I did my deep research this morning on the inlet, and just, naturally the sand would sort of replenish itself, but there's now a stopgap, there's like, this big hole right here. So it looks to be, like you said, it looks to be something, one, like when we were talking about it before, like, you're just gonna have to keep doing this. Like, you're not gonna have a choice. So I did see some people comment like, hey, let Mother Nature take its course. And at first I was like, really? But then after thinking about it, I'm like, man, it's a long-term project you have to commit to.
And constantly, like, I will be very surprised. I'm hopeful that they can do it in a one shot.
Yeah.
But I would be very surprised if that is the case, only because if we're looking at what's happened in other areas like Bathtub Beach, it is constantly having to be redone every year. Yeah. And at what point is enough enough? Do you not just build a bridge and the water just flows as it wants to flow, and you are just without that beach? I'm not saying that's what should happen, but at some point there has to be some kind of cost-benefit analysis to determine if that is in fact the best use of money, if there's not a better opportunity. So nobody call me.
Yeah.
I'm not in charge of that.
Yeah, well, call me. You can call me. I mean, I'm not going to say that.
Right.
You did some analysis this week.
I did.
You did. It was had me on the edge of my seat at 8:37 p.m. I don't even know how to lead this. Like, tell me what happened.
So to sum up, on Martin County Press on Monday night, I published an article about a city employee who was apparently residing in a city-owned building without having a lease and without paying rent in a building that is not designated for residential use.
How does something like that happen?
That is a great question. Apparently, based on emails that we found, there was a decision that was made by the former city manager to allow this. There was no commission involvement, no commission approval. It definitely is a variance that's needed to allow that to happen. But to back up, the building can't be used for commercial purposes because it's in Shepherd's Park, and there was a grant that was provided to rebuild the seawall, parking, et cetera. I mean, there's intention behind the grant. So you're limited in what you can do with it, but that doesn't necessarily give somebody permission to arbitrarily use it how they want to use it versus in a way that could possibly generate revenue for the city because it is city owned. Yeah.
I read the story. I sent it to everybody who I knew in my phone. Sorry. But you're welcome also.
I thank you.
Everybody was like,
Yeah.
Wait, the first question I got was, is she writing this herself? I'm like, yeah. What are you talking about? I'm like, yes, she is. I also saw some comments on Facebook. Why should we care about this? Why does it matter? I think you can show
that. No, and I see these comments and I debate about responding, so I'll respond here. People should care for a couple of reasons. One, it's an ethics issue. And if you don't abide by the ethics that you have, then why even have ethics? Like anybody can just do what they want. Who cares? It's also a compliance issue because there are certain land use regulations that you have to follow. And if you own the building and you're the city, you should be leading by example that you're designating buildings with a certain land use and you're abiding by them. But also, and probably most importantly, it is an IRS violation. Because what happens is has a value to you if you're the person receiving it. That is a form of compensation. So now you're receiving something of value that's not part of your contract. You're not paying taxes on it. You're also not paying to use it. It is a value that you are receiving. So I've been contacted by a couple of attorneys, one of whom said very clearly, this is the IRS violation that it is. And whether it is or isn't for me to say. I'm not the IRS. But if somebody is receiving something of value that nobody else is receiving, nobody else in the city is getting this offer. Nobody's saying to whoever works in this department, like, hey, do you need a place to stay? Let me fix up this place for you at the city's expense. And you can just stay there when you're in town. Because also, by the way, this employee did not live locally. He lived in Alabama, lives in Alabama. He still lives there. So somebody's coming into town and staying in a building that's no longer being rented out for the purposes of generating revenue for the city. We are paying the utilities for that building. They're not paying rent for that building. This is a net sum loss to the taxpayer, but also somebody's receiving the value and the benefit of basically a free place to stay at a very prime location.
My last question on this. From your perspective, because I have yet to, we published a few things over at Sunland News that's got some things shaking and moving, if you will. What's been the fallout of this? What have you seen sort of? Have you heard anything? Have you seen anything? Like, tell me more.
Notice. I waited to publish this just so we're clear.
So he no longer works for the city?
He no longer works for the city.
Oh. Okay.
And I waited to publish it because I didn't want to disrupt what was happening at the city. Because we're in the middle of a search for a new city manager. We need everybody on board, right? Okay. Like, and I'm not out to basically screw the city. So I waited. Apparently he was supposed to retire last year. He decided not to because he was trying to help the city out. Then he gave his 90-day notice most recently. And then a couple days later, he was like, you know what, I'm just done. And who knows why? It's not for me to speculate. People move on all the time. And hopefully the city has done a really good job preparing staff so that as other people leave, like the city can still continue to operate. And I think there are really good people who work at the city who will make sure it doesn't fail. But the fallout has been interesting. Not because of what I've written, but it's interesting how many people are defending the decision to allow this to happen instead of saying, oh, wait, and you and I have talked about this before. If you wouldn't allow it or support it to be done by somebody whom you oppose, you certainly should not allow it for somebody that you support.
Yeah.
Everybody should be held to the same standard.
Link to this article is right down below. I suggest you read it. It's incredible. It's amazing. Thank you for writing it.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. So each and every episode, I wanted to make sure there's an opportunity for you. If you want us to answer a question, DM us on Facebook, probably for you.
Yeah.
Anywhere for me. Or leave it down in the comments. We'll make sure to pull 2 or 3 questions each episode, whether it's a local topic you want to talk about, something for us, if we're willing to answer it, we'll answer it. But you have a question for me for this episode. So
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so here we go.
Okay.
So when you and I first met.
I'm nervous.
Don't be.
Okay.
One of the things that you discussed was this space that we're in right now.
Oh, yes.
That you got it with the intention of opening up a bookstore for your community.
Yeah.
So can you just kind of fill me and everybody who's listening in on why you feel like that's important for this area?
That's a great question. So just the same reason why I started Sunland News is I did feel like there was a lack of information for this area. And not that I don't want to look at it as some sort of master plan that I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. But as time went along, I realized that, it's kind of my duty to chip away at that a little bit. So I'm starting with news, which, we've got it off the ground. And really my next sort of approach is just like literacy in general.
Right.
So I've kind of gone from media literacy to just literacy. And, kind of just go down the line of just like making sure my home is educated, as much as possible. I read too many articles and research papers and, shout out Pew Research. I'm reading so many of these things like, hey, the better informed person makes better decisions. Like it's just inevitable that this is what I need to be doing. So that's sort of like the goal. That's the goal with anything I do, really, because otherwise I'm probably going to be working on some weird art project. Like it's either literally this or like weird sculpture thing or something. So I'm picking the more practical, make my parents
more
happy.
Community benefit versus the weird sculpture thing.
Exactly.
So I don't know, art in a park could always benefit from a weird sculpture.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I would probably be at the Elliott Museum or something.
Yeah.
Like that's the other alternative path. So anyway, but that was a great question. Yeah. I love that. We've got one more segment that we'll be back for, the rundown. So yeah, 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and something I wanted to make sure we added in the show at the beginning is one thing we're happy about each week. So get yours ready.
I got mine.
I just got to say, I read an article that King's Landing, which has been a project here in Fort Pierce that's been delayed to the 10th degree. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh boy, I'm getting nervous. I'm clutching my pearls. But I heard they started construction this week, which is, I think, great. I love that. I think that's
So
amazing.
what do you think is great about it? I mean, I don't live in Fort Pierce, so I've read different things from different people about why they love it or why they don't love it.
Yeah.
So what do you love about it?
Well, the project itself it's meant to sort of, boost the economy, bring jobs to the downtown area. It's supposed to be sort of more, more shops and more restaurants and different things like that. I don't really have an opinion on that either way. I'm just glad it started because it's been a conversation for so long. So how the project actually has an impact on the city is, I'm hoping it has a great impact. But it's just like anything else. You obviously wait with a little bit of bated breath and see if it pans out. But I'm just happy shovels in the ground, because I've been hearing for so long like, oh, this is never going to get off the ground. So it's just, I'm happy to see it. And one little last tidbit I'll throw in there is I'm happy that the Highwaymen Museum is opening up this month.
Yes.
February 20th. That's also been another project that was supposed to open back in November.
Yeah.
But now it's opening Black History Month. It's convenient time.
Yeah.
So it's good. What's yours?
Well, first of all, love that the Highwaymen Museum is open.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a movie on Amazon if anybody wants to see it.
Oh, yes.
Not saying you need to go watch it, but it does give some good perspective
Story,
about the history. But there's some really, really great, beautiful works of art. And the Elliott Museum down in Martin County actually had a Highwaymen exhibit a few months ago. It was wonderful.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So again, things that cross county lines.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And I actually have to go there. I have to go there.
Yeah. We'll take a field trip there one day. We'll do a whole podcast.
Yeah, we should. If you want us to give us that set. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. But my thing is, when our city manager was let go of his position in October, there was a lot of pushback from people about nobody will ever want to work here. There's too much drama. There's too much this. There's too much that. And they received 82 applications for city manager. And I think that's amazing. So I'm so glad that people recognize what a great town it is, what a great space it is, that it has a lot of opportunity and potential, and that people are actually applying to work there. I think that's fantastic.
So wait, so people thought people wouldn't want to apply? Like, I'm confused.
That was one of the arguments, was the institutional knowledge and the drama and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So one of the arguments about letting somebody go who had been there for so long is who would want to come work here?
Gotcha.
That was one of the arguments. And so I'm really, really thrilled that people recognize that it really could be a great place. And it is a great place, but it can always be better. Everything can always be better.
Just like anything. You can always improve it. Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm absolutely thrilled that 82 people applied for this position.
Well, I love that. And just to round off this segment, I want to shout out a few events happening this week. So I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, it's so boring. There's so much going on this weekend. First of all, it's Valentine's Day.
It is. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, over off of Seaway Drive in Fort Pierce, they're having a drive-in movie theater.
How cute is that?
They're watching 50 First Dates, I believe is the movie. That's on Saturday. On Friday, because Friday the 13th. They're showing Friday the 13th as well. So I want to shout out that. And then all weekend long over in Tradition, there's a Little Italy festival going on.
I've been to that.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's good food.
Okay.
Any Italian food is good food.
Okay,
I'm not
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
lie.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Italian is one of those, like, I don't know if I've had bad Italian.
Yeah,
before.
exactly.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I've
anything that
had
has a
better
cannoli-
Italian.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But there are cannolis, and everything is always made better by a cannoli.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to take your word. I don't really eat cannolis like that, but I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to take your word. We'll take a quick break and we'll be
Okay.
back. Okay, really quick for our rundown segment, our last segment. It's already coming to a close. What's
I know,
going
I'm
on?
so sad.
I did have a question for you.
Yes.
Brightline, this is your neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like it was pushed back until 2029. What's the over-under you think Brightline actually comes to the city of Stuart?
If I were a betting woman,
Yeah.
which in Vegas I am,
Okay.
though not always successfully.
All right. Fair. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, take it with a grain of salt. I think eventually it's going to happen.
Okay.
I think the bigger issue is how it's going to happen. So for those who don't know, Brightline was supposed to come years ago. In 2018, there was a lawsuit with Martin County where there was a settlement and an interlocal agreement where Brightline would pay for a portion of the station. And then Brightline came back and said, oh, just kidding, we're not paying for any of it. And so that's been part of the kerfuffle that's been happening is who's paying for the station and what's it cost? There's no site plan, there's no budget, there's all this stuff. And then the county's donating land and then the city's donating land. And there's just a lot of moving pieces and parts. And then you add to that the bridge that needs to be replaced, the train bridge that goes over the waterway, because right now the number of trains that are happening, a certain number of boats can't get through when the bridge is down.
So, okay.
Because of a height restriction.
Yeah.
P.S. Brightline was supposed to pay for a portion of that as well.
I heard about that. Okay.
And now they're not. And so it's just this really weird moving target.
Yeah.
So do I think eventually there will be a station? Yes.
Before 2030, you think?
No, I don't. I think also it's going to depend on the commission. So if we have a commission at the county and a commission at the city who are both very pro Brightline, yes, I do think it will happen before 2030.
Gotcha.
I think if we maintain the mix that we have now of personalities, even if it's not the same people, I think we would be hard pressed to have it done before 2030.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, keep your eye peeled to that. This just came across, and I'll read this from Krabby's Dockside in Fort Pierce. Permanently closing Sunday, February, literally this weekend. Decision not within our control. I have to dig deeper into this.
Yeah.
This is going to be out obviously before the 15th, so I wanted to make sure I just mention it, and then maybe we circle back around next week to talk about it some more. But I don't want to speculate on it because I don't know what's going on. But I definitely.
But it's always sad when any local favorite watering hole or restaurant or anything closes. And it sounds like, from what I've read, and I think you and I read it at the same time when we were both standing here getting ready for this.
Yeah.
I do feel like it feels like it was a little bit of a shock. And very, very unplanned.
Yeah, because it's literally this weekend. Like I don't know what's going on. Last thing I want to say, last week I went to the Night of the Stars, which is St. Lucie County's Oscars. You heard it here first. Okay, it's like our Grammys. All right, it was right up here, Lincoln Park Academy, honoring all the teachers. So I just want to give a big shout out to all the St. Lucie County teachers, school-related employees, everybody.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. Now, right before that happened, I'm not sure if this was planned or not, but there was a report that came out that said the vacancies for St. Lucie County schools was up like 753%.
That is amazing for all the different reasons.
Yeah, jumped from 15 in August 2025 to 105 in January of 2026. And there's currently 85 long-term subs with temporary certificates. So I think what's happening, just if I had to put my eye on it, one, I do think that St. Lucie County, the school pay is maybe not as competitive, relative to, I guess, other districts around. I know of many of teachers that have driven from here to West Palm Beach to teach for years. Like most of my mom's friends are like that. So there's that going on. But then also too, I don't know, I think the profession of teaching has sort of hit a slump because I think a lot of people are sort of going into teaching that were maybe in another field or trying to get something on in another field, but fell back on teaching. So teachers having to get their certificates in order to qualify. It's just a lot going on.
I don't know. I think our teachers work so hard
Yeah.
and they deserve so much respect. And it's really unfortunate. From what I've heard,
Yeah.
there's a lot that don't feel supported, and I don't know from whom. I don't know if it's administration, the school boards. I don't want to speculate as to that part of it, but it's unfortunate that they feel that way. So,
Yeah.
can I tell you a great story about a teacher real
Of
quick?
course, yeah.
So, a couple years ago, I went to this event, and it was with the Council on Aging, where they do this great job honoring people of a certain demographic, older. And there was a woman who was nominated for an award, and I sat there staring at her. I'm like, gosh, if I didn't know any better, that was my first grade teacher. This was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? It's been a while.
Yeah.
Since I've been in
Yeah,
first grade.
exactly. Since first grade.
So I literally sat there staring at this woman. And then when you're a kid, you look at these teachers and you're like, she's got to be 100 years old.
Exactly.
I'm 5, she's
Exactly.
100. So I literally sat staring at this woman going, she can't be alive. She was 100 when I was 5 years old. There's no
She's
way.
no way. There's no way.
I went up to her, and I'll probably start crying telling the story. I went up to her and I thanked her. Like I said, are you Mrs. Gibson from Jensen Beach Elementary? I think I was in your class. And to her credit, she was like, of course I remember you, Robin. I'd introduced myself to be clear.
Okay.
She didn't just know
I was
who
like,
I was.
what?
No, I said, I'm Robin.
Oh, okay.
I was in your first grade class, honor about this year, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, of course I remember you. I remember all my students. And I was like bawling in the middle of this event. But to your point, that's the impact a teacher can have,
for sure,
right?
for sure.
Like here we are literally almost 50 years later.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I knew who she was. I recognized her.
Yeah.
She was so kind and so considerate. And I was so touched by her comment, even though I know damn well she does not remember me from Adam. And I'm okay with that. But in that moment, I was just like, wow, that's amazing. What a great job.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I'll leave us with a little bit of word of wisdom that I got from one of my favorite teachers. Because I asked one time, I was like, why do you consider teaching? And she said something along the lines of like, many of people try to go wide, where teaching lets you go deep. So yeah.
Good words.
I'll leave us with that. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.